we always like to bring something a little different to the program, and this time, well, it confused me to start with. I really didn't know what it meant, but NIS Pneumatics, Peter Lane is with me to explain exactly. Welcome to the program, Peter. Thank you for coming in. Now, I knew I wouldn't be able to pronounce it properly.
Numismatics.
Numismatics. There we are. And it is the history of coins and medals?
That's right, coins and medals. or money and medals. Okay. To be precise.
And you're here today to actually explain to us about your collection that you have.
Right.
But there is an association in South Australia that is everyone's a part of, that they have their own collection, obviously.
Yeah.
How long has this association been going?
The South Australian one since 1926, and the national one, which I'm involved in, since the mid-1980s.
Okay. So, and I believe your wife is involved as well?
Yes, that's right, in the national ones. Well, I've roped her in to do the Treasury for the last 14 yees.
I wonder why that always seems to happen with husbands and wives when they have this...
They're so lucky.
So, has this always been a fascination for you since you were a child? Have you always been a collector of things, or... Yes. How did this come about?
I've always been a collector. My grandmother gave me an English farthing to start with, and I collected in primary school. In fact, the primary school I went recently had its centenary, and one of the other students who I recognised came up to me and said, "Are you still collecting coins?"
Is that right?
And that was 50 years ago.
Oh, is that right? So you'd have quite a collection then. How many pieces do you think you'd have?
Well, it's modest in size. You know, one would imagine after collecting that you'd have thousands, but mine runs into the hundreds, purely and simply because I'm a highly specialist area of collecting. I collect coins and medals that are associated to Australia up to the year 1868. Right. I use that close-off date because that was when the last of the convicts arrived in Australia.
Oh, okay. I'm just thinking, how on earth do you go about looking for these things? How do you find them?
Right.
Do you sort of delve into antique shops and places like that, or is there special places that you go to find coins and medals? Or, sorry, but do they come up on the internet? I mean...
well, they come up on, they certainly come up on the internet in recent years, but in former times I had to write overseas, particularly Great Britain and Europe, to find particular pieces that I was sort of hunting to build up on a thematic theme, and also used South Australian coin dealer shops, antique shops, and also the big auction houses in Sydney and in Melbourne in particular.
Okay. When you go into the coin shops, is there something, you'd have something specific that you're looking for, and do you have a price like that you would value it at, or do you have to wait and see as to what they would give it to you for?
Well, everything's negotiable, but one has to be pleasant. It's striking the balance between getting a bargain and then burning yourself for the next opportunity to acquire something. So you have to be pleasant, and I usually make an instant decision. Either I want it or I don't.
And I would imagine after all this time that you would have people that you would go to specifically to, that would know you and would know probably what you're looking for, and then if they do have something come in, that they would contact you and say, "I've got this, are you interested?" Is that...
Yeah, that happens with all specialists. You don't have to collect numismatics, you can collect Australiana, whatever. Dealers who know you and they know that you're going to pay straight away will give you a ring, and they'll get an instant answer. And that has worked very well for me over the years.
do you have a special, and one in particular that you just love and has taken you a long time to find, and anything that is worth a lot of money?
Well, there is one which is a Captain Cook medal. I first saw this particular medal in 1981 at auction, but my children were at school and it was beyond my reach.
Yes.
The story of this particular medal, it's called the Resolution and Adventure Medal. It was, the idea was thought up by Sir Joseph Banks. He thought, he was going on the second voyage, and he thought, wouldn't it be a good idea to strike a medal depicting the portrait of the king's head, so when it was given away to natives of Newfoundlands, they would be able to say, this is my chief, George III.
Okay.
And on the other side, it would have a portrait, a picture of Captain Cook's ships. And they used to sort of be out at anchor in the bay, so that the natives could reflect on that. And it recorded the name Resolution and Adventure and the date it sailed.
Told the story.
Yes. And the beauty of that is that these natives would have a special gift, and they were usually hold or had a little ring suspension, and they were worn around the neck with great pride. As you can imagine, natives of Newfoundlands had never seen Europeans before and been giving this special gift.
A treasure.
Yes.
An absolute treasure.
But there was a second thing about this particular piece, is that in the wake of Captain Cook, the other explorers and people who want to claim territory on the European idea of first European to sight a land, they could actually acquire the land. But with Captain Cook spreading these pieces throughout wherever he went, some 2,000 pieces, they were able to establish that Cook had been there, so therefore they couldn't claim. So it was like a territory claim.
It's like sticking the flag into the ground, then, I suppose.
Exactly. So. Yes, that's right.
How wonderful.
And whilst there were 2,000 of these medals dispersed, only a handful have ever been recovered. About a dozen in New Zealand, which is the biggest find, one in Canada and one in Australia.
Is that right?
And it was the Australian one that I happened to acquire, which I bought it, but I had to do the research on the provenance, and that's one of the key things a numismatist does, is to research the provenance of pieces.
And exactly what are these coins made of at that time?
Well, these particular ones were bronze, with a lot of zinc in them, and they usually have a bubbling effect because of that. They're usually buried in soil with salt air and so on, so you don't find them in mint condition. So if you want a perfect specimen, don't collect them, but if you get ones that are bubbling, that's fine.
Oh, right. So how many do you think? Oh, here we go. Look, we've got some vision of your. Is this?
This one we're looking at now is a Hessen Castle 1669 taler, and on one side it has a map of the world, a globe
that we're looking at now.
Yes, and it.
And oh, look, that's very clever.
It has New Holland on one side, the actual spelling of it, New Holland.
Yes.
And on the other side, it has the arms of Hessen and Brandenburg.
So that's a very rare
coat of arms. That is rare, and it's the only one in
Australia?
In Australia, yes.
And you have that one?
I'm lucky enough to have that one.
What are we looking at now, Peter?
Right, that was the Captain Cook I was explaining to you earlier, with the George III on one side and Cook's ships, the Resolution and Adventure. So
that's what you were saying about the bubbling effect, because it's what it's made of and where it has been all those years.
That's right, yes. Okay. It was found in, originally discovered in 1914. There was this little girl her father was ploughing the field with a horse, and she was going behind him looking for worms to feed her chooks, and she came across this piece.
Did she?
So it's amazing. And then she obviously, because she's only 3 years old, she showed it to her father, who instantly recognised it. It was found about 5 kilometres away from where Cook had distributed them.
So did they go back then to look for others? Obviously, you sort of
Yes,
think,
they
well,
did. No luck.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What a shame.
Actually, I met the woman that in 1991
Did you?
that they actually found it.
She was
an
the
elderly
3-year-old?
lady.
Is that right?
The 3-year-old. That was incredible. I found her in Sydney, and
Good heavens.
she lived at the time in Tasmania.
So did that start a fascination for her then at 3 years of age to think, you know, that could have started
Yes.
with the collection and finding treasures?
That's right,
So
yes.
she's been
She was a collector.
looking for worms ever since. That's fantastic. So, and do you have, oh, here we have another coin. Peter, what's this one?
That's Nicholas Bourdain. The year is AN9. That means the year of the Revolution 9, which you translate into our calendar today. It's 1800 or 1801.
Okay.
And Bourdain gave some of these medals to...
On the other side, what's that say?
That's his Corvette's geography, and the naturalist, Captain Bourdain. He was the expedition leader, and he left medals in King George Sound in Western Australia.
Okay.
That's not one that was actually left there, but that was one that was left over from...
You've acquired since.
Yes.
Okay. Fascinating.
Yes. I like these early pieces.
So it seems.
Yes.
Now, we've seen some coins, but you also have... Were there notes then, or not really so much?
Well, they did have promissory notes. They are collected heavily by investors, and the premium is out of my collecting realm, and I have a lot of fun with what I collect.
It's been fascinating. You learn something new every day. If you've got a drawer full of coins, you might want to go through to make sure that there's something valuable. You might come across a treasure. But if you would like to find out some more information, you can either contact us, or is there a website for people to contact you, Peter, if they'd like to join the association or to find out something else?
That's right. The Numismatic Association of Australia, just type that in, and it'll pop up on the Google search, and you can find us without any problems.
Thank you very much. It's been fascinating. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation too. Thanks very much, Peter.
Thank you.